In the last few minutes, we have heard that Thailand's King Bhumibol Adulyadej has died. On Sunday, the palace had announced that the king's health was not stable following blood purification treatment in hospital. King Bhumibol was the world's longest reigning monarch and was on the throne for 7 decades since 1946. An incredibly sad day for the Thai people. These are pictures that we have for you from Thailand, from the capital Bangkok. I can tell you over the past few days, hundreds of Thais have gathered outside the hospital, Siriraj Hospital, where the king was being treated. They have been offering flowers, they have been chanting prayers for him and wearing pink, which was the colour that was said to bring him good health and good luck as he was being treated. But now this news coming to us that King Bhumibol Adulyadej, the revered king of Thailand, has died. Let's take you to our correspondent Jonathan Head now in Bangkok. Jonathan, a day so many Thais have been dreading, and now this horrible news.
Yes, I mean, it's been a very long goodbye. He's been in and out of hospital for the last 7 years. His health has been extremely frail for the last 7 or 8 months. We haven't even seen him in public since the end of last year, and the news has simply got steadily worse. Even the very carefully sanitized palace statements that we've had just this week. Well, we've been waiting for this announcement and waiting. You can hear the chants. They're still chanting, "Long live the king." The news may just be filtering through to the crowds behind me. Some of them have been here for more than a day, holding up portraits of him, willing him somehow to recover, but everybody who could see the health bulletins knew this wasn't going to happen. And this announcement has just come in literally this minute, confirming that he died at 3:52 this afternoon, and that apart from that, we don't really have any details of what happens next. We understand there will be a meeting of the National Assembly later on tonight. That's quite important because constitutionally that should confirm his successor, Crown Prince Vajiralongkorn. He is the designated heir, and we would expect at that meeting in a few hours' time that him taking the throne will be officially confirmed.
Jonathan, you've lived in Thailand for many years. Tell us more about how the Thais feel about the king.
I think it's quite difficult to put into words, really. I mean, I've lived in this country over such a long period of time. I've seen actual changes in many ways in terms of attitudes to the monarchy, but something deep down hasn't changed, and that's a sort of unspoken emotional bond that even Thais who might be thinking quite critically of the monarchy feel they have with this king. And it's an odd kind of bond because he cut quite a remote figure. He was fairly unsmiling, he was detached, and yet he cultivated this image which people really bought into of this virtuous, restrained, moderate man who stood above the turmoil and often the rather vulgar aspects of Thai politics and its commercial life. This is a country that has been absolutely transformed economically, and he was a symbol of some sort of past values. You're now starting to hear around me, the news has come through. We're seeing people pretty much all around me now have actually just realized that he's died. So those cries of long live the king, we're now seeing transformed into grief, and that will be felt right across the country. He's such an incredibly important figure in the image of modern Thailand. People have always seen him as a sort of solid spiritual heart, even when their country went through times of conflict. And I think people simply hadn't prepared themselves for the enormous void that has been left by his departure.
It's so incredibly sad, actually, Jonathan, seeing the scenes behind you and hearing the cries of people as they digest the news. But in a country that is so beset with political divisions, how much has the king been that unifying force over the decades?
He was incredibly important in the early years of Thailand's modern development after the Second World War. When he came to the throne, he was a very young man. He hadn't been groomed. He came to the throne after his brother was killed in a mysterious shooting accident, only 18 years old, and very, very weak then in many ways. Military governments dominated. But from about the late 50s on, he partnered often with military governments, not necessarily with democratic ones, mostly with military governments, to build up the idea of a sort of virtuous monarchy that was very effective at projecting a sort of benevolent image of the state out into the countryside and helping ensuring stability at a time where a lot of Thailand's neighbours were convulsed by conflict. And that image of him as the stabilising force, this virtuous figure who stood above politics, really lasted right through until this millennium. But obviously he's faded from view as he's got much older, and Thai politics has become a great deal more volatile. People's lives have changed much more too, and in that sense the power he once had to influence things really dissipated more than a decade ago, and what remains is this symbolic father figure who the people around me now realise that they've lost.
And Jonathan, obviously the country hasn't been in this position for many decades. How much do we know about what will happen now? Because I've seen some reports that there could even be a year of mourning.
Yes, because nobody would talk about his death before it happened. We knew it was coming. There were no official announcements. Even senior diplomats and business figures could get no kind of conversations going about what happens. Really nothing's been spelled out. What we do know now, though, is we understand is there will be Buddhist rituals to be gone through. His body will be taken from the hospital, probably tomorrow, to the Grand Palace, that glittering orange roof palace and gold palace in the middle of Bangkok, where it will be ritually washed and then lie in state. After about 7 days, the public will be invited in to see it, and there'll be about 100 days of that. Then the preparations for a very elaborate cremation ceremony begin. We're not sure how long that will last. It could be up to a year, it could be sooner. But obviously, critically, what people will also want to see is how smoothly his son, Crown Prince Vajiralongkorn, who, you know, we can't, frankly, because of the laws against the monarchy, talk very safely about his personality, but clearly he doesn't have the same respect as his father. He's got a lot of work to do to be able to do this job and to fill this enormous void the king has left. A lot of people are watching to see how well this transition, which many have feared, is now carried out, of course, under a military government which has had plenty of time to think about it.
The Crown Prince has been to see his father, as has his other children over the past few days, Jonathan. But tell us a little bit more about him and what we know about what kind of king he will now be.
Well, the problem with that, Lucy, is that because of the laws of lèse-majesté, we're extremely restricted in what we can say. And frankly, a full picture of the new king will really only be able to come from outside the country. He's controversial. There have been scandals surrounding his life. He's also had a very, very long time to prepare to this. He's a 64-year-old man, so he's very experienced. Potentially, you know, he should be able to do the job quite well. There's no secret that some people are uneasy about him taking over. But to be honest, nobody here can really discuss that. The fact is, though, he is the designated heir. He is the next king. He now has a very big job to carry out.
And again, Jonathan, in terms of the political landscape, an election has been promised for next year. If this does lead to a period of instability in Thailand, do you think that could possibly be pushed back? Do you see things politically changing?
I think, given the immense importance of this event for Thailand and the fact that, after 70 years we really are in uncharted waters, it would be understandable if the military government now delayed the timetable they've set for this election. Whether they do or not, they feel they have to, I don't know. They've got a constitution that gives them enormous amounts of power. It really dictates, in effect, a military-controlled democracy for the next 10 years. But they will have their hands absolutely full in managing this transition. And this isn't just a symbolic transition. Although the king took a very passive and detached role, his charisma anchored a system which sort of almost stabilized a hierarchy of fiercely competing factions in Thailand, military, bureaucratic, business, jockeying for power. They relied on royal charisma to decide where they sat, and that's gone. And re-establishing a stable competition for power and resources in Thailand with a new and frankly untested king is going to be a big challenge for the military and a very unnerving one for them. And with that job on their hands, it's quite possible they may feel the need to delay the political timetable.
And Jonathan, not to take away from just how momentous this is for Thai people and the grief that they are feeling and will feel over the coming days, are there concerns about the economy? Because we have seen the Thai baht drop over the past few days, and this uncertainty with the stock market too.
Yeah, uncertainty was bound to bring, immediate effects on the stock market and the currency. To be honest, they've been less dramatic than I think many people feared. The bigger uncertainty, I think, for Thailand is how well will this transition bed in. I think the first few weeks we're going to see things going according to a ritual. Everybody will be feeling the grief, the loss. They'll be showing it. I don't think there's any reason why anybody need think about the economic effects immediately. Long term, this is a country that is aging, it's losing its competitiveness, it has a stagnant economy, and it has a military government in power that has been very conservative and not very effective. Those are challenges that will continue to drag at this country, even as they deal with this enormous transition of the political system, really to an unknown. They no longer have what many people might have regarded this great spiritual referee at the heart. In truth, he's been absent for a long time now because of his health. But the reality of his actual departure will have an impact on political stability. How big? That's very difficult to guess at the moment.
Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us with your thoughts. Jonathan Head there outside the Siriraj Hospital.